A very good morning to everyone, second semester students. As you know, our classes would be beginning now from 11 a.m. today. And before starting this morning's class, I would like to welcome you all to this class, and you are now second semester students. And I'd first tell you about the texts which I'd be doing with you. Now, as you know that there are two papers, CC3 and CC4. Now, I'll be doing in CC3. I'll just tell you, in CC3, I'll be doing with you Jayanto Mohapatro's Dawn at Puri and the novel, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's novel, Rajmohan's Wife. So in CC3, which is Indian writing in English, I'll be doing these two texts. And moving on to CC4, which is British poetry and drama, 14th to 17th century, I'll be doing with you Edmund Spenser's sonnet, One Day I Wrote Her Name, and Geoffrey Chaucer's poem, Wife of Bath's Prologue. So these are the four texts that I'll be doing with you. So you have already got the routine, and the classes would be held according to the routine. The other teachers in the department would be taking the classes accordingly. Now, you've got the text of Edmund Spenser's One Day I Wrote Her Name, that is Sonnet 75, which is taken from his collection of sonnets called the Amoretti. Now, today in this class, I'll not be touching upon the poem itself. I'll just give you a brief introduction to Edmund Spenser as a poet, and just give you a little biographical sketch of Edmund Spenser. Now, Edmund Spenser was born round about 1552, 1553, 1554. There are different years that are mentioned. The exact year is not known. He was born in London, and it is thought that he was related to the noble family of Spenser. Now, this Spenser is spelled with a C, that is Spencer. But as you know, Edmund Spenser's surname, Spenser, is spelled with Spenser, not C. Now, Edmund Spenser actually attended school, and in 1569 he joined Pembroke College, which was under Cambridge University, for his Bachelor of Arts. And he received the degree in 1573, and he did his Master of Arts in 1576. Later on, while he was at Cambridge, he became friends with Gabriel Harvey, who was a learned scholar, and his letters to Harvey also reveals his ambition and his future plans. Now, while he was at Cambridge, Spenser gained vast knowledge of the classical Greek and Latin literature, and he was also familiar with the French and the Italian literatures as well. Now, moving on to the next period of his life, we can see that in 1578 he served as secretary to the Bishop of Rochester, Thomas Young. And in 1579 he entered the service of the Earl of Leicester, and he became acquainted with Sir Philip Sidney, who was another great personality, great poet during these times. And he became, in the year 1584, the deputy to the clerk of the Council of Munster in Ireland. And his circumstances improved considerably, and in 1588 he acquired the possession of an estate, the estate of Kilcolman, which was earlier in the hands of an Irish earl. And in 1589 he wrote the first 3 books of the Fairy Queen, for which he is known. Now, as we know that in the Amoretti, we find that Spenser is following the courtly love tradition. During the Elizabethan age, it was the tradition, or it was customary to write these love poems which were addressed to some imaginary woman. She might be imaginary or she might be real. In this case, she is Elizabeth Boyle, to whom Spenser addressed his sonnets, and whom he ultimately married in 1594. And he celebrates his marriage to her in the poem Epithalamion, which was published in 1595. Of course, this was his second marriage, because he had been married earlier and his first wife had died by the year 1594. Now, the last 3 books of the Fairy Queen were published during 1596, and in 1598 his fortunes reversed as Irish rebels attacked and took possession of his castle, the castle of Kilcolman, which he had acquired, and he came back to England, and he died in 1599. He was buried in Westminster Abbey. As you know, Westminster Abbey is the burial place of most of the literary figures, the great literary figures of England, and he was buried near Geoffrey Chaucer's grave. So this, in short, is the biographical sketch of Spenser's life, and in our next audio clip I will be telling you something about the notable works that he had penned.